Your inner child taking a peek under the rug and saying, hey, guess what? I found my favorite toy.
90% of your time, you're feeling not good enough, you're feeling like an imposter.
I am the most performing individual who's failing at some aspects of my life.
You're actually just trying to chase happiness, but you're never holding it. I'll be happy when that happens.
Something about this place, right? Like very, very peaceful. No matter what time of the day it is, it's beautiful.
That's definitely a certain grounding energy.
Yeah, and now that it's been like 24 hours that I've been here, it's starting to, I can now completely feel the vibe. So it feels so awesome.
I'm so glad. What stood out to you the most?
The people. Last night I came, I was doing some write up before I went to bed. And I was like, I was talking to someone and I said, what can I take from Auroville when I leave this place? What souvenir can I take? And then in the evening, I saw Hazel, the dog, playing. And I was like, I want to take a bit of this. So I've taken pictures and everything. And then, you know how we hung out yesterday, and then we went to this cafe, and just everything. I was like, if I can collect these bite-sized moments and kind of pack them together, and that would be a perfect souvenir. So last night when I was sitting, I was like, it's the vibe here. I feel it's the people itself. If you would have asked me this yesterday, my answer would have been different, but now I feel it's the people. So and I cannot take people with me, but I think the way I'm connecting with them, I think that's something that I will always hold. So yeah,
So beautiful and powerful.
so it's a great place. It surely is, and it lives its reputation. You know.
It's still the people, right? The same people are out there as well. But I wonder why it changes when you're here. Why in the cities or in other places in our normal life, we're different, because I've noticed a difference in my own self when I'm there and when I'm here.
And I think it's more because out there we're constantly chasing, and I think in in this space, I think people have kind of made a conscious decision to just live. You know, to just not just go with the flow, but be part of the flow. And then that's I think that's so important, to just slow down, not necessarily just give up everything, but just slow down so that you can catch up with yourself, right? And I think that's what's happening in this space. And I think, you know, as a therapist, I think it's the more I see in the outside world and what you seek in the inside world, this space kind of gives you that opportunity to bring both of that together, and that your outside and the inside can coexist. And I think that is powerful. And I think that's what's creating this vibe. And I feel like that's what's attracting so many people to come here and be here. And I don't think that we have to kind of put ourselves out of the chaos, but we also have to find the inner peace so that we can coexist with the chaos but still be aligned with our inner stillness, right? Because I feel when you're constantly immersed in the rush, in the busyness, it's a constant state of burnout. And I think every now and then we try and escape that. But that's all it is. It's an escape. So if we had an opportunity to create that space, no matter where we are, have that, have a Auroville inside of you, right, that you can carry anywhere you go, that would be a beautiful state to be in. And then you would not seek an escape. You would become your own retreat, I
Yeah,
feel.
that is so true. I feel that's also very difficult in today's world to have when things go, like I often talk about, and I sometimes even for my life think about, you know, being at peace does not mean everything around you is at peace. Things will still
Right,
be turbulent around you, there'll be demands on you, there'll be expectations from what you have to do, but
right,
being at peace is probably more about feeling that stillness or that anchoring even when the storm is going around you
right.
and everything is moving around you, and your perspective changes when you can have that stillness even between all of that, turbulence.
Right. And very true. I mean, I feel that at the end of the day it's a choice. It's it is a conscious choice because there are always aspects that are going to be out of control no matter how much you try, no matter how much you pursue. There's always going to be things that are not going to be quite the way you want it. But finding a purpose, even in the messiness, even in the chaos, and staying true to what really matters to you and how you matter to the community and how you connect with people and every single thing that you do on a daily basis, whether that's just waking up, having a cup of coffee, or talking to your clients, or going to work. Or I think a lot of the times alignment is not big movements. They are like these small little tiny steps that you take in your daily routine, that you make these conscious what do you call adjustments to kind of just make everything, give every single thing a purpose. And you could drink coffee like I used to in my corporate life. Like I used to think achievement was spreadsheets and numbers, and and then you realize that you know all I was doing was existing on coffees and adrenaline, you know. But now I've realized that it is also taking the time to enjoy your coffee, enjoy the mornings, connecting with yourself, not being in the rush, being present in the conversations, in the moments, and constantly feeling what you feel and what the day is showing you, and not necessarily escaping from anything, but just finding the joy in the beauty of all of it.
That is so true. I think I wonder how many people have the same experience. I know a lot of my clients have the same experiences saying jump out of bed, run to office, finish office, come back home, jump into things at home, and repeat.
Right.
um, and I remember having that same life where every the days were just blurred. You just every day was like, what do I need to do and what do I need to accomplish? And every day that you would sleep thinking, oh, I didn't do da 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 da. You might have done about 100 things, but the 10 things you didn't do are still stuck in your
Hmm.
head, and that becomes the way of being. And that leads to such a severe degree of burnout that at some point what gave you joy or even the achievement no longer gives you that sense of achievement or that sense of completion.
Right.
I have like so many of my sessions start with people saying everything is good, all the check boxes are there, but I'm not happy.
Hmm.
I'm on a like I want to focus and concentrate, but I'm not being able to. And there is this one very beautiful line which I kind of explored that with myself, and then gradually I share it with all the people. Is, well, you've not been listening to your body, your mind, your heart, and they've stopped supporting you
Hmm.
because we think that we are the boss of our body, we're the boss of our mind, we're the boss of Rara. So I have to push it as much as, but it's a it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and you need to take care and nurture the body and the mind and the heart, and also listen to what they want.
Right. And I feel that that urge to overpower your body and your emotions and your team and your projects and all of those things, it's it doesn't happen overnight. It's we grow with it. I mean, ever since we're born, we're taught to strive,
Hmm.
you know. We're taught to be the tough one. Oh, that's not needed at the moment. Put it away till it's time, you know. Be the strong one. Live up to it, you know. There's nothing to cry about it, you know, things like that. And then one fine day, you figure out that everything that you brushed under the rug, your rug is now this thick. Because guess what? Even things that matter to you are now brushed under the rug.
Hmm.
And where does that all go?
Hmm.
The rug does not cease to exist. It's all still there. But in the hope that if you just delay this, if you put this away on the side, you're somehow gonna strive at
Hmm.
everything. You're gonna be the achiever, you're not gonna be the weak one, you're gonna stand out. But what we forget is standing in is equally
Hmm.
important. And that rug,
Exactly.
which has all this stuff under it, there's some hidden treasure that we lost along the way. And we lost part of ourselves under that rug, which, as we go into adulthood and as we start pursuing our careers and become these high achieving individuals, the softer parts that we put under the rug are still waiting to be explored. Those were the core human aspects that
Hmm.
made you, but you stripped yourself of all of it because being emotional and being vulnerable and accepting certain things are difficult are now all of a sudden weaknesses. But we don't realize that it's all part of us. That's the
Hmm.
whole, that's what makes us complete. We're not just one dimensional beings. We've got all these spectrums to us, and we are prisms, right? And we have to live through all of those rays and all of those colors because that's what makes it us. And that's how we show up. That's how we are genuine. And that's how we show up to how we approach our life, our community, and also our work. And most importantly, how we choose to show up for our own self. Because
Hmm.
sometimes we rush to the aid of others, but when we feel lost, we're unable to find ourselves. We're unable to show up for ourselves. And I
Hmm.
think that's the most important thing, especially with my kind of clients, like the high achievers and the high creatives whose success looks tremendous on on paper and on LinkedIn profiles. And it's like you climb this mountain and you go up on the mountain and take a selfie and put it on Instagram, and you wonder, this cannot be it. But
Hmm.
this, it can be if you want to make it. But
Hmm.
if you are going to keep on saying, oh no, not this mountain, maybe the highest mountain, and maybe there's a higher mountain than this, then you're never going to stop to enjoy the view.
And that's what happens also, right? Because we all have an inherent need to grow.
True.
And at some point, because we have put all of that thing under the rug, there's no growth in our personal journey. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use that word for now, but in your the detailed version of it, maybe in your emotional journey, in your soul journey, you're not growing anywhere.
Yeah.
So the only sense of growth is coming from your so-called career, and you want to keep making it more perfect. You want to keep making it better, somehow achieve more.
Mm-hmm.
Because where you are right now, what you're doing is not giving you happiness. And it is amazing how many of us are often feeling like this is not good enough. The minute I achieve it, this is not good enough, now more. This is not good enough, now more. And the problem with that is throughout the journey, you are feeling not good enough. The minute you achieve it, there's a split second you feel okay about it. And then you again go to feeling not good enough. So basically, 90% of your time, you're feeling not good enough. You're feeling like an imposter. You're feeling you're not doing anything great.
Mm-hmm.
And you're constantly feeling that kind of a lack mindset, right? Or you're constantly criticizing yourself. So there's never happiness. Happiness is basically fleeting when you go with this perspective. The challenge in that space is you're actually just trying to chase happiness, but you're never holding it. I'll be happy when that happens, then maybe that
Right.
happens.
There's always the next pursuit, right? You
Yeah.
and I mean, funny you say that. I so for a very long time, I think for me, success felt collecting trophies,
Hmm.
and success felt meeting deadlines, and success. One time, I remember at a corporate meeting, we were having a panel interview, and they said, what is your highest achieving moment so far? And I
Hmm.
think I bragged about the 17-day continuous work that I had done, as if it was the biggest achievement of my life.
Hmm.
And all I was doing was giving myself trophies for being in a state of constant burnout. But at that
Yeah.
point, that's what it felt like. It felt like, oh, I cannot admit that in those 17 days of straight working sessions, how many times have I lost my patience? How many times have I had lack of focus? How
Hmm.
many times have I just felt of dropping the ball and just walking away from it? But we don't admit these things. Why? Because because we want to impress. And
Hmm.
success and our definition of success lies in the collection of our trophies.
Hmm.
And somehow we feel that if we stop, if we pause, we're going to hinder our growth. Like growth is going to cease to exist. But that's not true. Growth is happening even if you're just sitting still. It's
But
just not
that's
outward.
but that's growth when you are in touch with everything you put under the rug. The
True.
challenge is if you have put everything under the rug and you have not focused on emotions. Emotions are bad, they're not important. Soul is nonsense. My whatever my desires are, they're nonsense. I just have this one space. I just have to walk this one space. So automatically, if I'm not walking this one space, then I'm not growing. There's a sense of stagnation, and that scares us. That scares a lot of us to feel that I am almost dying. In the subconscious, the minute you stagnate, it's equivalent to dying.
Right. And that's the byproduct of the corporate world. That's the byproduct of being high achieving entrepreneurs because success is also a way of belonging. You want to kind of be in the top 10, be in the top 5, be in the top 3, be the only one. But how? The only way we're taught to kind of be in that ranking is by performing. We become, I mean, and you know, anyone who's successful will tell you that logically this is what needs to happen. We all live by the KPIs and the scoreboards, but it took me a while to understand. And in my other life, when I work with in my fashion life, in my creative life, we work with something called mood boards. And sometimes I sit and wonder, what if I looked at my life through a mood board? What if
Hmm.
I approached my life through a mood board? What if I approached my work through a mood board? How productive would that be? It would give me the perfect hues to paint the joy, which the logical brain strips you away from it. Logical brain, if you only think logically that I need to do A, B, and C, you're not looking at the whole picture.
I don't think so. I disagree with the fact that logical brain strips you of it. I think we strip ourselves away from a part of ourself. Like you said, those things that you put under the rug. As a part of adulting, we somehow feel that these jovial, fun, chill parts of us need to be shut down. And I mean, logical brain would do whatever you would want it to do. And logically, what is happening now, though, is you have shut down certain things. So your brain is going where it's going because that's the only place you've. I mean, for me, brain is very simple. You give a question, it'll answer that, right? So these parts of us, I feel like, and I would like to call them maybe the inner child or the inner self, the fun part, we've kind of distanced from it, dissociated from it, and believed that that's supposed to be in our childhood. And adulting means only responsibilities, only
Yeah,
KPIs, only this. And so our mind is focusing there. Poor mind, what is its fault?
right.
And what we do not probably recognize, and I wonder uh, how many of us see it soon enough, that this inner child is the one that is has an abundance of energy, abundance of curiosity, abundance of even uh, creativity. All of those things that you want as you go up the ladder is actually sitting with this inner child, but we're not in touch with it. We're
Right.
saying bye bye to it, shut up to it. Yeah, sure, that inner child would also have vulnerabilities and emotions, and but everything we want, and you have these big terms that we always talk about, right? We talk about um, executive presence, we talk about being emotionally mature, having high emotional intelligence, being creative, looking at things from out of the box, having different perspectives. Where does all of that come from? Children have no trouble doing any of it.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me, my kids, I have little twins, right? And sometimes I look at them and all they're doing is jumping off the couch and they're having a ball of a time. They don't need anything fancy. They're just simply jumping off the couch. And they're finding joy in, and they can do that for hours. My little boy, you give him a stick, he'll whack it around, turn it into a sword, and he would, you know, pretend he's riding a horse or whatever.
That
But
level of
that's
creativity.
creativity and the simple joys,
Yeah.
right? This joy that you find in the smallest of things. Like we have to, like, as adults, as high functioning adults, we have to remind ourselves to say, take some time to smell the roses. They don't care about smelling. They're smelling they're in a garden of roses. They
Yeah.
don't have to be reminded of that, and they find their joys in these simple pleasures.
Exactly.
And for us, those definitions have need to have some sort of what do you call it? It needs to have some sort of validation. Like, we went to the most beautiful country for a vacation, and that becomes your that becomes kind of your space of joy,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
But
where, the fun is also graded, fun is also productive. And I think I want to talk about that a little bit because that is so interesting. And it's been interesting in my life, and I've seen how I have started changing my definition. I'd be so interested to see how that has changed for you as well. Because this ability to just have fun doing anything was almost impossible for me. When I would think of having fun, there was a sense of productivity attached to it. Okay, so I want to have fun. Okay, I'm going to paint, or I'm going to dance, or I'm going, and I kid you not, like I literally went ahead to do my graduation and dancing and my graduation, and so like there is Visharad and Kathak. So I actually went there, and that also became performative. I have to perform in a certain way. Music, I have to perform. So all these things which were supposed to be just joyous and fun and engaging, they all became performative, right? And painting, oh, I can't draw properly, I have to paint it better. It is crazy how if you like you're talking about your kids, even if they paint nonsense, they're happy, they're joyous
yeah,
doing all of that. But we have attached performance to each and everything,
true.
and because of that we are never in a state of just chill, relax. And as I change my definition, and I'm now working with clients where I'm helping them change their definition, one of the things that always comes up is, okay, let's take me time. What do I do in that me time? Whatever you feel like. We come up with these things, and it becomes, oh, you know what? But I have to do it well enough. Now you've taken away the play, you've made everything work. Even fun is work. Like you said, I have to go to the best country, I have to go to you have to qualify everything. So everything has become work. So when is that stillness? When is there pause? When are you smelling the roses?
Right.
Even if you're smelling the roses, it has to be the best possible smell.
Yes,
It has to be the
absolutely.
perfect rose.
No, and I truly believe that what and going back to the logical brain, right? It's not that we don't need the logical brain. We need it. We very much need it, right? But along with that, we have to bring our emotional intelligence as well. And
Hmm.
emotional intelligence is not just about how am I going to recognize the personality of my boss. We all did those
Yeah.
personality tests. Like, you come from an HR background, so you know that. So,
Yeah.
oh, how do I manipulate my teammates based on their
Hmm.
personalities, and how successful is this project going to be based on the personality in my team? It's also about, who am I? Who am I when I am not performing? Who am I
Hmm.
when nobody's watching? They say dance as if nobody's watching, but can you really do that? Can you? Or are you still going to start performing for your own self?
Yeah.
Right? We get so consumed in being perfect at everything that we forget that imperfection is also an art.
Hmm.
And work while you work and play while you play. But what if you played in your work? What if you
Hmm.
enjoyed? What if you found joy in your day to day work, in your day to day routine? Then you would, like I said, you would not need an escape. And that's exactly what I tell my clients. And I
Hmm.
think now there is this conscious movement, even in the high achievers and even in these creative leaders,
Hmm.
where I think the world is now starting to recognize that there is something more beyond what we have functionally made ourselves used to. There is an unconventional way of approaching things, which is not weaved in perfection, which is not weaved in awards and ceremonies and limelight. It is quiet, it is peaceful, it is extremely internal, and it roots from who you are as a core individual, what values are important, and then projecting those in no matter what you're doing, no
Hmm.
matter whether that's leading a team meeting, or whether that's just playing with your kids or
Hmm.
playing with your pets. At the end of it, it is approaching life with joy. And I think us, as again high functioning individuals, we have lost touch with that, and we've been away from that concept for such a long time. We've alienated ourselves from that concept for such a long time, that now reconnecting and reminding ourselves of who we were before we were taught to be
That's a
something.
hard thing, no? But
Yeah, and I feel true, but that's where I feel that we need a structured approach. We need an environment which says it's okay to be.
hmm.
It's okay to live from that state of joy. It is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to take the time and smell the roses for the entire day if you want to.
Hmm.
And I think that's where therapy and coaching and all of these concepts come in, because a lot of the time, I know, though now it's people are more accepting of those things. I remember my clients coming in and saying, can you not disclose that I went through therapy? Or is there a way that you can have a different calendar invite? I had clients do that,
Hmm.
because it's still, for a very long time, and it still is in some pockets, considered not a great thing. not
Yeah, because
something that high achievers will
I think
achieve.
anybody would do. I think basically the idea is until you're running naked on the streets and you're absolutely lost your mind, please don't go to therapy. I see a lot of Gen Z still kind of accepting therapy as you would mental fitness, where, you know, physical well being and then mental well
Right.
being. But for most of us and for most of the society, still, therapy is what you go to when you have hit bottom and then you need to
Absolutely.
come
You
up,
have to be shattered,
shattered
like,
in
yeah.
order to come the back. And the joke in the entire thing and my conversation with people often is, if you've broken your leg, then you can't work that time on strengthening and
Right.
building your muscle. That time you're just going to heal.
Right.
It's not that it's a bad time to come, but you don't have to wait for it to get that bad. You can actually step in and start your growth journey, because it's not about only healing, that you are unwell and then you have to come, but you
Right.
start your growth journey wherever you are, to reconnect with yourself, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, to build that connection with the authentic part of you, that inner child, inner self, inner joy, whatever word
Yep.
one would use, to feel this more wholesome life. Because we have this one life and we want to experience it more in a more wholesome manner, and not just through the journey of not good enough, not good enough, oh, okay, not good enough, not good enough, okay. And when we come back to when should you come into therapy? That's one of the most common questions, right? And I would always like to answer, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and you feel that stagnation, you need to feel that sense of growth, you step into it.
Right. And I would always say that that stagnation is is not a lack of something.
Yeah.
It is an invitation to finally look in. You know, it's a gateway that you have to consciously cross. And it's not easy. Therapy is not easy. Sitting in a, a hot seat of vulnerability is not easy.
You have to have the
But
courage to do it.
you need the courage to do it. But also, it is the core, it's the core of who we are. If you strip away all the titles and you strip away everything, that's who we are. And you bring up healing, and healing to some people sounds like you're trying to cover up this soul sized hole with a post-it, and that's really not healing. Healing is a process. You cannot just show up and put a band-aid and walk out. It's a process, and it's just how we got ourselves into performing and functioning and achieving and holding the trophies and getting the pictures taken and putting it on LinkedIn and Instagram and all of these places. We have to also learn to exist without them. And I think healing is not a privilege. I think healing is our basic human necessity and a right, which we have forgotten. We somehow, my clients tell me, but I don't think I'm burnt out enough. And I'm like, what is enough? You're here. You are here. You may not know what it is, but there is something that is nudging you to look beyond, to look inward, to explore further. And if you do not, after all these achievements, if you're not able to give yourself that space to step down, to really meet yourself at that ground level, go to P1 and P2 and go below. If you cannot go deep, no matter how much you go higher, it's not going to matter. Right? And I really feel that therapy gives you those tools. It allows you to say it's okay, and I don't have everything to kind of look at my life differently. But what therapy allows you to do is have these different tools in your toolkit so that when you do have a breakdown, you actually have those tools to kind of restart your engine, to kind of not have everything perfect, but at least have a chance to um, not fix it, but to live with it. Right? You don't want the engine to be rumbling all the time. You sometimes want it to just smoothly run and be in the flow. People say, be in the flow. My clients say, I don't know what the flow is. And I'm like, it's anything you want it to be. It can be the big waves, could be the flow, it could be anything. So as soon as we say flow, we think it's just a smooth movement, but it's not. It can be up and down, it can be anything. It can be anything what it means to you.
So, since we're on this topic of how difficult it is for people to come in and take therapy and when you should take therapy, I'm actually curious. How was your therapeutic journey?
Um well, I'm going to tell you, it wasn't a very dramatic realization. It was series of small cracks that started to appear. And it was like, I for example, I remember this incident very well. I was at this award ceremony. It was the Oscars, and I was sitting there, and the kind of event where everyone dresses up and they're flashing smiles and their cameras all over, and I caught myself smiling as well, the flashing smile. But in that moment, as I was sitting on that table, I was like, I don't genuinely feel the joy. It's an award ceremony. I'm supposed to be happy. But all I could see around me was a room full of emptiness.
Wow.
And that's when it started to kind of, and it wasn't the first time that I had felt that. It was the first time that I was actually realizing it. But it had started long back. And so the small cracks, right? Like forgetting little things, and like I'd said before, like the lack of patience, and the empty wins. And then at the end of the day, still coming home exhausted, but that exertion was not fulfilling. It was tiredness. And for the longest period, I kept on saying, I'm not breaking down. I'm just tired. Until I realized that was my version of a breakdown. And so I think amongst all the things that I was trying to do to kind of shake off this feeling of, these jujubes, like, this, it's, if I push through, I'm going to maybe start feeling better. It's just a small unproductive day. And tomorrow is a fresh start and everything's going to be fine and rosy, until I realized that I was pushing through so much that I was actually pushing past myself. And so, and I always thought, like a lot of us do, I always thought that therapy was for people who are completely crushed, and therapy is for people who are not successful, are depressed or are going through some major medical condition, like therapy is a prescription for a medically diagnosed issue, until I realized that no, therapy is something that is a basic human necessity. And so that's how I kind of tiptoed myself very consciously, very holding myself back into exploring what actually therapy looked like. And very uncomfortable, I have to say. And not for me. First thing was, that's not me. Like total rejection to therapy. And I'm like, oh, I don't have anxiety and ADHD and, this, that. I'm a fully highly functional individual, super creative. But a constant state of achievement is a breakdown as well, right? And so,
And the stress of constantly feeling you need to achieve, you need to do
yes,
higher and more.
yes. And so the realization that I need to take a pause, and take a pause long enough to actually listen to my inner voice, is what drew me to therapy, right? And that having that human connection where you can shed all the performance and just be open and vulnerable. And when I did that, I realized that we don't give ourselves, as creative leaders and achievers, there's so much lack of that space where we are allowed to be totally vulnerable, to cry, to laugh, to the inner child that we speak about, to let that inner child come out. There's such less opportunities
Because
to,
everybody is judging you all
because
the time. You're under the
everybody, and
microscope.
because you're putting up a front, because you're striving,
To be what
right?
you
You're
think the
not
others are.
thriving, you're striving. You're in a survival mode. And so I think in the midst of that, I think I found integration therapy as I was trying to optimize my healing. And for the longest, I thought healing is the next project, but it's not. And we're all lifetime, we're people who need lifetime healing, because life happens to us on a continuous basis, whether we like it or not. So
What is this integration therapy that you just found as you're going through this healing journey?
So integration therapy it's basically, I think it's the space for me. It allows me to kind of connect with my most inner self. It helps me quiet down the noises long enough where I get a space to basically go explore my subconscious, where I can finally meet myself. And it's such a beautiful place where your conscious state meets your subconscious state. So earlier when we were talking about the rug, I think we didn't finish that conversation, but where does all those things under the rug go? They are stored in your subconscious. They don't disappear. If I told you that every single phase since your birth up till now, we do remember. We've just forgotten how to remember. Every connection we remember. We've just forgotten how.
They're in the archive,
They're
on
in the
memory
archive.
archive.
They're in the archive, right?
Yeah.
And they're in this box, all stuffed together. And what integration therapy allows you to do is it not only opens up that subconscious, but think of it as a filing cabinet. It allows you to file away each of these memories, these moments, and gives you a connection to that file. So now it's no longer random, right? And it's a space of release as well, because no matter how large the capacity of that drive is, the RAM at some point is going to get full. And unless you give it a cleanse or unless you purge, you're not going to have room. And especially as creatives and leaders, you're not going to have room for anything new, any new ideas, any new perspectives, any new aspirations and dreams and whatever that looks for you. And so for me, that's what it is. It's a cleansing process. And it's an internal cleanse of my subconscious, of my soul. And it's not necessarily to kill the achiever in you or wipe out your winner streak inside of you that you have. And it's especially not to strip you away from your success, but it is a way where you can go deeper so that your success has more meaning.
I think that's very true. The fear that you mentioned is so real. For a lot of people, what ends up happening is, because we talk about, oh, you're successful and you're focusing on this and you're not focusing on inner peace. There's a distinction, because even when you were saying, I felt that distinction somewhere where it was, corporate successful and then maybe a saint, aesthetic life, I've given up everything.
Right.
But there's a place somewhere in between, and that's why I think the name integration, that you are integrating that peace and the success somewhere.
Right.
But
right.
maybe also integrating conscious and subconscious.
Yes, it's integration at all levels, right? It's a place to realize, it's a place to rejoice what you have, and it's also a place to release and let go, which is a very essential part. We've become collectors and hoarders of good as well as bad. And so it gives you an opportunity to let go, to surrender, where you're no longer a performer. You're basically integrating what values you hold, what experiences you've had in the past, and how can you, because the truth is you're never gonna be able to erase your memories. That's not what the intention is. Again, the intention is to find joy, and I've found that joy in the absence of chaos is still joy. That inner child is gonna find its joy. All it needs is your permission to allow it to. And that's what integration therapy basically allows you to do. And for corporate leaders, and so a lot of my clients who come from these high energetic backgrounds and are in a constant performing roles and titles, for them it usually starts with something is missing. That's all. And I say, even to realize that, it's a big step. It's a big courage to say that I am the most performing individual who's failing at some aspects of my life. But they usually don't even put it in those terms. They put it in a way that makes them look less vulnerable. And usually the thing is, I don't know what's wrong. I just know something is off. That's a more safer word, right? And I always say that is the invitation. Don't let that thought go. And when you hold on to that thought, that's where the seed of intention starts. There's an intention to find that missing part. And like you would agree that we're people of we have all these pieces to ourselves, right? And when you put these pieces together, you're a whole individual. And what integration therapy allows you to do is all of these individuals, your inner child, to your achiever, the dreamer inside of you, the struggling adult, you know, um, the so whatever those whole and broken pieces that you have, you finally have a space where they can all sit at the same table without the fear of judgment, without the fear of putting up a stage. And so you are your own authentic self, and the only person you're answerable to in that moment is yourself. And I always say it's like a grandmother with a stick. It will beat you down until you find your answer.
So I'm wondering this. See, what I hear you say is integration is the space of obviously integrating the conscious and subconscious. Also, we're kind of talking about how we see finally all the different parts that we have, and there's acceptance and integration of all sides of us rather than them being at loggerheads and at, pulling us towards opposite sides. The key element being that we are able to see ourselves, outside the smokes and mirrors that we have created throughout our life. We're able to see ourselves. So now my question is, why is it necessary to have integration therapy to do that, and why you feel it's necessary for a person to go through the integration therapy, or it's easier at least through that, and we can't just see ourselves. To start with, I already agree that it's very hard to see ourselves, right? But
Right.
I'm curious to also understand from your perspective, why just seeing ourselves, why is it so difficult?
Because we're out of sync. The thing is, we have been lying to ourselves for so long. We have been suppressing that inner child, the imposter syndrome, for so long that we have forgotten who we really are without all of that. If you put the trophy down, who are you as a person? When the spreadsheets stop tallying, who are you? When the checklist is done, who are you? And when you come home, when you hit the bed, who are you? Right? And we've forgotten to how to allow ourselves to give that space. And so no matter how many masks we wear, at some point it becomes impossible to carry the weight of all these masks. And so it gives you a container, a safe space, a sacred space where you can forget about opening up your subconscious, but also having an opportunity to allow yourself to be in that space, to just explore what it would be like on the other side. What it would be like to open the door and welcome your true self in. And I call it a container because at that point, no one's watching you. So you get to experience your true self, get to fight your demons, get to connect with the true meaning of what joy meant to you, what connection meant to you, what your relations meant to you, and what your career means to you. And so it's giving you that space, a very personal space, where you still don't have to make major decisions. You don't have to um, shake that container so much that it's reflecting on the outside. But it's okay to ruffle those feathers once in a while, you know,
Hmm.
to let yourself do the beautiful dance
Hmm.
and see what it is.
Hmm.
And it's a way to see. It is a way to just be sometimes. And that's what we don't get.
Hmm.
We don't get to just be. And it looks different for there's no cookie cutter approach, because our lives are different, our backgrounds are different, the way life happens to us is different, and how we respond to those happenings is different. So the experience you have, the subconscious that opens up, is different for every individual. And so your battles, your silent battles that you no longer want to come to face with, this just allows you that space to be completely honest with yourself. And I've had clients, grown, successful adults, cry like babies. And some things that they didn't even realize. So they come to me saying, I have A, B, and C problem, or I think this is the problem. And they go through the therapy, and turns out it's X, Y, and Z. It's not even in the alphabets, it's completely different. And again, it is a space where you also get to allow to put your ego down, because your subconscious is not going to allow you to hold on to those egos. It's going to show you that you've been hiding. It's going to lift that rug, and it's going to say, it's time to bring this out, because what you're experiencing on the outside is not quite addressed on the inside. So let's pull out those things out of the rug. And how relieving would that feel to just have a space where you can finally look, take a peek, your inner child taking a peek under the rug and saying, hey, I guess what? I found my favorite toy, right?
Hmm. How is it for you? Do you think, because like you said, it's not a cookie cutter approach. Everyone's experience was different. What did that mean for you? So when you went through this integration therapy, did it help? Did it bring out? Because it seems like a lot of work for something very hypothetical which we can't
Right.
define.
So if we were doing this after my first session, I would have said, meh, I don't know. Um, because it was a lot of, I'm gonna say it was very experimental for me. Therapy was in itself was it wasn't, like I said, for me to come to believe that this is something at the core of what I need took me a while. So the first session I went through was okay. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what to expect. I had a lot of nervous energy around it as well. And again, surrender did not come easy. I mean, funny
Hmm.
thing how human ego works, but things that I was seeing, the things that it was showing me, I was not ready to accept it. And so I walked out of that thinking, this is bullshit. Like like what? I
Hmm.
am Like, this, I'm not seeing unicorns and rainbows, and that's what I should be seeing, and it should be giving me exact answers that this is wrong with you and go fix this, and nothing came up. I'm like, nothing's coming up. But later on I realized that it's not the integration, the visuals and the subconscious opening up is just maybe the 10% of it. Now you have all this information at your disposal. How you take all that information that your subconscious has shown you, and how do you take it forward into your conscious life, and how do you weave that into your life experiences forward, so that now you're living, making conscious decisions from the subconscious enlightenment that you've had. And how do you align that in your day to day life is what integration therapy over the years has now shown me. And like any other new thing that you would try, say, for example, painting, in the beginning, you're only going to learn how to use the tools. You're going to see but then to paint a beautiful picture, it takes a while. It takes connecting with the art, and connection is key. And in this case, it's connecting with your own self.
So, who
And
should be taking integration therapy? What kind of people would you recommend integration therapy to? Because you do integration therapy now.
I do integration therapy, and it's not just for a particular set of individuals. It it could be for anybody, but what my typical clients have been these high achieving individuals, and it could be also because I connect to them more, given my background and what life experiences I have had. So I have a deeper understanding of what that kind of burnout looks, right? And what empty success is, and what does it take to have that space. And so that's something that, I really have been successful in attracting the clients. And they're usually high achievers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, creative leaders, again, super high functional individuals. But having said that, it is also for people who have long enough performing in relationships, you know, for women who are going through their life changes. And so it's usually for adults who have now, who are looking to move into their other phase of life, but are looking for a transformation that they don't quite realize, and they feel that you're feeling stuck. And I think it would be something similar in your line of work and the modalities that you use for therapy. Okay, so having spoken about that, what what are your observations like with modalities, and what are your experiences with the clients? I'm sure there is like a common thread that we both see.
I think my experience in my personal journey and with my clients has been that no one modality can help everybody.
Fair
Like
enough.
you said,
Yeah.
there's no cookie cutter approach.
Right.
And what I have realized is in different phases of growth, you need something different. In different life experiences, you need something different.
True.
And that's what I've applied in my work as well, where sometimes a person just needs to express and words help. Sometimes there are no words to express the learning has been so strong, the conditioning is so strong that they aren't able to express what they're feeling through words at all. They keep saying the same narrative. Nothing is wrong. Everything is great. Like you said, that I don't know what is wrong. So there's no words. So what we do, or what I do there, is I bring in, let's say, art therapy, because often colors, art, just shapes, random
Allows you to
things.
express.
Exactly. It allows you to express so much more. And through that, then somewhere words evolves, feelings evolve. Um, Sometimes even art isn't possible. Giving it concrete shapes or colors feels too overwhelming, and movement helps. Connecting with something that is deep seated. And it's not like, one, then second, then third. It's just we have to go with our intuitive approach of where the person is, and
Right.
maybe some bit of trial and error into what can help and what will work in this space. The idea is definitely to get them to connect with their deeper self. And that's where I think it meets what you were saying, that there is cognitive and there is subconscious, and how do you get them to connect?
Right.
And so, art, movement, um, even sounds, energy healing, guided meditations, hypnotic work, all of it I use to somehow help them connect to the subconscious
Right.
and become more aware. But sometimes I've also realized, and I don't know if it's different in yours, but sometimes I realize not fully becoming aware of what is in the subconscious is also helpful.
It is. Yes. I do agree there that sometimes not knowing what to expect is a blessing.
Exactly. Sometimes it's ambiguous. They're just seeing a shape and we're not even talking about what it means, how to apply
True.
it in your life. Just working with what comes there and then,
Right.
and just seeing how that shifts. So they've seen a prickly red hot ball that is moving around, and we just work with that. And that ball changes shape, color,
Right.
form, size, and something has shifted within them. And much later, maybe they're able to put it into words, or maybe they're not, because we are eventually trying to bypass all those defense mechanisms and walls
Right.
that our psyche has built in order for us not to see what is in the
Right. And I
subconscious.
and I think for me that the key word is opening up the feelings. Right? Because that comes from deeper within. The emotions come from deeper within. And that's what I usually see as a breakthrough with the clients is that the emotional softening. That's where that's the first cue. And
Exactly.
sometimes it does start physically, but every time it travels in the heart space. And that's where a lot of the work is happening. And it's happening without the logic. And sometimes they are baffled. Like, I am such a strong person, and how am I getting teary about such a small thing? Like the red prickly ball. Some people would just see that and get highly emotional. Now, it's not that it's reminding them of something, but it is connecting them to something that they have long lost. And they're just finding their way through that. But the emotional, just like how the logical and the neurological wiring is important, even the emotional wiring is important. And we're, like you said, we're just so disconnected with the emotional wiring, and everything is happening in the head space.
Just falling and dropping into your body sometimes is
Right.
also very helpful. And I feel like we've also not talked about that here, and it's a good space to bring it in, that there is body intelligence. We typically talk about intelligence in form of cognitive intelligence. 2 plus
Right.
4 is equal to 6, that part of our self. But that is only a very small percentage. Actually, about 5 to 10%, or maybe sometimes 15%, is your conscious mind, your
Right.
cognitive mind.
Right.
Rest of it is your body, and your body is a fully functioning organism of its own without any input from you. You don't start thinking, oh, I need to digest food, now I need to poop, now I
Right.
need to breathe.
Right.
all of it is happening pretty much automatically. So your body has immense intelligence of its own. When we heal, physically heal, it's automatically repairing the tissue. It is
Right.
automatically repairing the bone. It's doing what is necessary in a way which is, I think, far more advanced than our cognitive mind can actually do.
Right.
Try as we might, we cannot physically repair the bone. All we could do is put it together, support it, and it has to do its
Do its
own
own thing.
process.
Yes.
So, what I think a lot of times my journey is to help people um, connect to that body intelligence. And one of the things which I find most interesting is if we pause and if we just listen to our body, what is the body saying? It might be as simple as where is it pain, what do I need to do, where is it stretching, what is relaxed. There is so much information that comes out.
Right. And that's what we call the intuitive state. Right? That's the intuitive state of being where we are actually connecting. Again, it comes back to connecting where we drop the pin and finally catch up with our physical and emotional state combined together. And bringing along, like you said, the physical body as well. And realizing, why am I feeling a certain way? What is it trying to tell me that I haven't or I have, snoozed in for such a long time?
And it shows up in the body. So even though we are snoozing, what ends up happening is we now know, even scientifically, that we are storing emotions in our body. Right? And so when we are storing them, certain parts of our body would end up experiencing pain, stiffness. And if we do not cater to it, it can become a more medical condition. Now, I'm not saying all conditions are necessarily our emotions, but a lot of times when I have gone through my journey or I work with my clients, these random pains, there's a huge neck pain, there's a huge back pain, there's a knee pain, my ankle is hurting, and it flares up. Sometimes it's even a medical condition, but it flares up and it goes down randomly. There is no seeming pattern to it. Because when it's come to your physical level, it has gone to a certain degree. Now, then you need medical help. But underlying, there is also what is happening to your body through your emotions because you're holding on to them. And the simplest way often to understand is when we are stressed.
Right. I was just going to say that.
Yeah, our shoulders kind of tense up. Now, when that happens often, then you have knots in your shoulders. Your muscles have spasmed and they are
Right.
held in that position. And that's the easiest way to understand. And then, obviously, if your muscles are feeling that way, your bones are getting impacted. So,
Right.
your emotional state is impacting your physical body, which is finally leading to a medical condition. Now, work itself back that these emotions that we are holding need to be released. Sometimes we don't even know what this emotion is.
Right.
And we've held on to this emotion for so long that even when we touch base with the body and we ask what is happening or this pain is there, what is this pain? Where is it coming from? No idea whatsoever. And when I went through my journey, there was some times when a particular pain came up and tears came up, like you said, and I was like, no, I can't feel this way because I'm such a strong person and I don't cry. And, I was somebody who started off with saying, I don't feel stress.
No, or in my case, I used to think I have mastered stress.
Oh.
Like I've mastered the skill of you can never stress me out enough.
Yeah. So
Right.
when I was even studying, we were learning stress, and I told my professor, "Oh, I don't feel stress. Again, I've mastered it. It's for the unintelligent people that they feel stressed." And as that session went ahead, and I saw all the physical symptoms of stress, digestion issues, headaches, fatigue, sleeplessness, and I'm like, I just don't let myself cognitively feel the effects of stress. But what is happening is my body is supporting me in that. I am pushing all of it down to my body.
Right. And so in the somatic world, we call it the energy, the flow of energy.
Exactly.
Energy is getting stuck somewhere. It's not having the free flow of gradually doing its thing, right? And The thing with energy is wherever it gets blocked, it's going to show tension. And so that tension of stress, when it comes down to your shoulder, the energy is stuck there. It needs a release. And the first thing we do is go get a massage. But again, you're putting a band aid on it. You're
Yeah.
not healing the cause of that wound. So it's going to keep on opening up every now and then. And this time it's your shoulder, next time it's going to be your head, next time it's going to be your knees. And it's so easy for us as to when we have a headache, we'll just go pop a Disprin or, just go to the medical doctor and say, hey, fix this.
And I've done that throughout, and it was so crazy throughout because I had that whole need to prove myself. I would, I had these experiences throughout childhood where I would have really bad headaches all the way starting from 10th. And I would block out these headaches by painkillers and then stronger painkillers and then stronger painkillers. Until I realized to a point that all I'm doing
It's
is
not killing the pain.
I'm not killing the pain. I am just numbing my senses to know that there is pain. But the pain still exists. My body is still feeling it. I'm just cutting my sensation of it. And until I heal what is creating it, it's not going to go away. And we have a fancy word, migraines, cluster migraines. And both my parents are doctors. So, I would say, oh, I have a migraine issue. And they were so debilitating that if it struck, I would have to park midway, middle of the road. I would park my car. I would put my, eye patch, and I would just lie down, and then I would put my noise cancellation. Because
Wow,
it would
to
not
that
go,
extent.
Yeah, it would not go away because after a certain degree, migraines, no medicine can do anything about it. You just will have an acid attack after that when you have that much medicine. But it will not go away. And so the body basically at that point is yelling so loudly that you cannot block it out.
Right.
It was only after I paused and I did this, work for myself. At that time, it was Reiki and energy healing, and also working on my cognitive thought patterns that then brought it down. Suddenly, now I don't have migraines.
Right.
And it's not that it's completely healed and cured. There are times when it comes back, and the minute it comes back, it's just that, like you said, tools. So now I have the tools to recognize, oh, I've been getting headaches, something is off. I need to pay attention to something that I'm not
so
paying
listening
attention
to
to.
the body, right?
Exactly.
Listening to the body and leaning in to your intuitive state of, we say, and my clients say, how do I know that something is wrong? And I'm like, you don't have to go finding that. The answer is already there. You just haven't connected enough. You just haven't, like I keep on saying, looked under the rug. The answer is probably there.
The crazy part is the level of disconnection we have now is we don't even know when I'm hungry and thirsty. I was laughing even like 5 years back at the idea that the app needs to tell you that you have to go have water. And now we have a fancy thing where we now have a smartwatch. On it, it tells you there is need to move, need to drink water, need to da. I'm like, these are basic physiological needs which are so ingrained, hardwired. We shouldn't need an external reminder. Oh, I need to drink water.
It's because we are so used to being reminded for meetings and deadlines and having alarms.
But I feel it's also the fact that we've disconnected from our body to such an extent that these basic physiological needs that no other species on earth needs a reminder for, we need that reminder. So how far gone is our disconnect with our body?
Right.
That we do not even know we are dehydrated, we are hungry, we need to move.
Right.
We have killed that sense.
And you talk about the physical part of it. Imagine us not even recognizing that we have a whole emotional side to us, which is even stronger than your physical side. And that's what kind of sometimes dictates a lot of right or wrong decisions, or no decisions at all, right? Your state of confusion, your state of not knowing, for example, your state of emptiness, your state of your depressive state, your aesthetic state. What are all those things? Those are emotional intelligences, and we had them. A newborn kid has them. It doesn't have to be reminded to cry when you want to cry, laugh when you have to, when you feel good.
But we kill it, no? That's the
We,
idea,
yes,
Prema, that what is happening, I've realized, is the societal conditioning is such that it slowly tells you you are not supposed to feel or experience anything.
right,
Basically, somewhere throughout our life, we are being told to become a computer.
correct, very, yeah,
Sit in a straight line, don't move your body, don't think of water, don't cry, don't dada. So the conditioning is so strong, unfortunately, that we're not taught to be, we're not taught to experience, we are not taught that what is this experience. We are just taught to not pay attention to it,
right,
and to pay attention to the mind, pay attention to the cognitive element, so much so that we lose this. That's why the disconnect is there, because it's actually not possible. I feel like these are survival needs. To shut off your survival need requires so much conditioning. So I can only imagine the level of conditioning all of us have gone through,
yeah,
that we have shut down any emotion, any physical pain, any physiological symptoms telling us back. These are all feedback, right? And the funny part here is, when I even speak to people who are seemingly very successful on a very high position, right, there is no dearth of intellect. I hear a very common element saying emotions are bad, they are hindrances, they are problematic. I don't want to feel emotion is the number one thing people come to me with. I don't want to feel happy, I don't want to feel sad. I'm like, you then become a
no,
computer.
but do you even know what that is? Do you even know what joy is? When was the last time you remember rolling on the ground and feeling happy, right? And that is joy. And I think we have in the pursuit of these big successes, we have forgotten that, because numbing is the only way we know how to survive,
Yeah.
right? And whether that is personal relations, whether that is um, work relations, sometimes when we sit with our friends and we have these, we're told that we have a work personality and a home personality and a personality that we have with our friends, and you know and they're all different personalities. But you have to sometimes ask, why is that? Why can you not be this one person to everything? If you are playful, why can you not be playful in your work? How is that hindering your success? Or is it now so, um, is your personality need to be so diluted or so filtered that perfection, being a perfectionist, is a badge of honor? But
Yeah.
what is that doing to you? What is that doing to you, except for creating this empty, what do you call it, the loneliness,
Hmm.
right? And
And that need to constantly do more, be more, the frustration of not being or not doing more. And that's where the imposter syndrome has become a full-fledged diagnosis now.
yeah,
Um,
and thank God people are realizing that it's a
yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
It is a real thing. Like, I remember, so I studied marketing, and I remember being told that if you want to be a good salesperson, when your client nods, you nod with them.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why? Why do I have to do this when I want to do this? Right? And why closing a deal is so important when everything in that conversation feels wrong, and how many doors have we slammed on ourselves in order to reach there? So
Hmm.
that's like some basic things that we I think we've forgotten to ask ourselves. We've forgotten to be human. We've forgotten that, yes, these are all the elements, your bodily intelligence, your emotional intelligence, your spiritual intelligence, your everything around you that that plays a vital part in making you who you are. We've learned to quiet all of that down. And the
And then
only
become a
thing is
machine.
important is who's holding the trophy, whose name was announced when the award was given.
And that's the conditioning as well, no, Prima, that from a very young age, children become trophies for their parents and they want to show
True.
it off.
Right.
So, especially, I mean, we use this term so often, trophy child, golden
Yeah.
child, because parents feel like they can feel successful and accomplished through this method.
Right.
And then the kind of impact that has on the child is phenomenal. So typically a trophy child or a golden child would feel this extreme need for success all the time, need for perfection all
Yeah.
the time.
And your worth is tied to that success.
Exactly.
And so I always tell my clients, you need to remember who you were before the first golden star showed up. And you also need to know that you will remain worthy long after the applause has quietened down.
Oh, but that's the
And
hardest
that
part.
is. And
Worthiness not only in our professional life. I think the problem is it was meant to be a sense of achievement or a reward mechanism in professional life, but it's become worthiness of love. Am I worthy to be respected? Am I worthy of existing? And the most heartbreaking sentence I've heard is, I am not worthy of taking a break. I've not done enough. I'm not
true.
worthy of.
I have to earn a vacation. People say,
Yes.
I have to earn a vacation. I have to accumulate so many work hours. But your physical, mental, emotional self has got nothing to do with how many leaves have you accumulated.
Yeah.
How much leave you have, how much money you have in your bank account, it doesn't matter. Because even when stripped away from all of that, you are still a living being, and it comes with the package. You can't live in isolation.
But that's what I think we are not able to feel.
True.
If every time we have not gotten that trophy or we've not gotten that success, love is taken away, acceptance is taken away, appreciation is taken away, acknowledgement is taken away, it becomes such a strong association that I have to constantly prove myself, or else I am nothing, or else people won't love me, or else I won't be respected. I agree at the same time that this is a pattern in our own thinking, right? Because a lot of times, actually, if not achieved that level of perfection, nobody's going to say, "Chichi, now you're worthless. Please go in the garbage can." But that is how severe this association is.
Because there is guilt associated with that. Because there is this constant guilt of, if I did not work hard enough as my colleague, or if I didn't put in as many hours, or if I did not say yes to this, I'm probably not going to be accepted. I am probably going to cease to exist.
Yeah.
Right? Those existential crises, they kind of emerge from the very essence of wanting to belong and feel, and all of these conditionings coming together, that it's sad that um, we would feel guilty for listening to our own self, that we don't contradict our own, we don't have a different narrative when on the inside we actually do. The narration on the outside is not matching the narration on the inside. We are not aligned. That's where misalignment comes in. We are not truly aligned with ourselves. We're not truly aligned with our surroundings. We're not truly aligned with the community. We're not aligned with the people that matter to us. We think we are, because we are agreeing to everything that's thrown at us. And in the attempt to catch it all, we've become these jokers and jugglers. And we take pride. We take pride in juggling multiple things. But what if you said, I'm going to just let it fall? You know,
And the answer to that often is everything will fall.
everything will fall. And that's where therapy comes in, I think.
Yeah.
It's that space that allows you to think that everything's not going to fall through the crack if you just let yourself loose. Cut yourself a slack. Give yourself the time. Take the break when you need it, not when you've earned it. Listen to yourself, right? Let the softer side shine. Let the harder side take some rest. Let all the broken pieces have a place at the table. There's no need to fix everything for it to all come together. I'll put all the pieces together. No, let the pieces be beautiful on its own. And then see where the journey leads you. Yes, the pieces may be still broken and you have the chance to heal them, but at least you own those pieces. At least you recognize that those are part of you, and that's what makes you this beautiful, messy, vulnerable human being, the way nature intended us to be. And then when you approach success with that intention, when you approach work, when you approach your dreams from that intelligence, that's where it's a whole different spark. And it's beautiful to witness that, and I have witnessed that with my clients, and it's amazing. Yeah, so we're looking into getting a new dog. So we'll see how that goes. So we had a boxer, and now we're getting a Cane Corso. Have you seen a Cane Corso? There's these huge giants. They are minimum 100 kgs.
Wow.
But majestic human being, dog beings.
Yeah.
Majestic dogs, like huge, this huge.
Wow.
And still has a mud face.
Hello. I think sometimes I feel like we need to learn so much more from animals. Dogs, cats, all of them, they're so integrated into their bodies, they're so integrated with themselves, they know what they want, they're not ashamed to ask for it.
And we still want to train them to be
Yeah.
what we, just like we do with the humans. We do
Yeah.
that with everything that comes into our lives.
Yeah. But I feel like they are fully
Control.
like, if they want love, they'll ask for love, unlike us, where we are so scared of asking. They don't think of, oh, am I worthy enough to receive love?
Exactly. If I want it, I want it. Like, I'll
Yeah.
lick your face off.
I exist, I'm worthy of love.
And that should just be enough, right?
Yeah,
To
that
just-
should be. And you know, the funny part is I actually use that example with clients also. I'm like, okay, so what does the dog have to do in order for them to be worthy? They're not earning. Because they'll be like, I'm not worthy of love, I'm not earning, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not da 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 da. I'm like, okay, so I have a dog. They're also not doing any of the things.
But
Should I
half
stop?
of my income goes on.
No, I actually become perverse. No, I'm like, should I stop loving them? I didn't know I have to love only because of this. And suddenly, you know, they'll be like, no, 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 of course you should love them. Why? Why should I love? Why should I spend so much money? And my dogs are spoiled. Like, the whole house is theirs. The bed is theirs. Everything is theirs.
Yeah, but so don't have that. Don't lie on the couch all day and expect everyone to come and pet you. But know your purpose,
Yeah.
right? Have your don't don't feel like you have to earn something.
But I feel like these are two separate topics. Feeling worthy of being, of existing, of love is is a very different thing than wanting to do something. And I think the problem is that we have linked that somewhere. We have said, if I feel worthy of being, of receiving, of being loved and cherished, then I won't move towards anything in life. Then I will not move forward. So it's almost like the narrative is now, unless I push myself, I will not move forward. And I wish, somebody had helped me understand when I was much younger that that's not true. All of us have an inherent need to move forward, and we will move forward even if we are not pushed.
Right.
The
And
child learns to walk whether or not you do anything with them. They will crawl, they will walk, they will run. That is the wiring which is there.
right.
Right? So if you do nothing also with yourself, there'll be a basic need to grow. The worthiness just supports that. Just because when we were younger, we were told, unless you get good marks, you're not worth it. And then we remember that push is necessary, otherwise I'll do nothing. That fear, psychosis that is brought into us, we continue making ourselves like kind of, browbeating ourselves into saying, oh, I have to hit myself every day, not physically, but metaphorically,
Yeah.
in order to, grow.
And the worth, like you said, the child is going to walk regardless. But then the external factors that I need to motivate that child to walk,
Yeah.
right? That's where the golden child syndrome,
Yeah.
that it needs external motivation to be a certain way, and which is not true. You have the instinct.
Yeah.
You've crippled yourself already, and then the child thinks that, no, I need to have something to be like, we need a carrot to
To
kind
be
of
able to do something.
do
The
something.
carrot would be a lot better, no? If you give a carrot, I would still go with it. But I think the problem is we don't give a carrot, we almost give ourselves the stick, and all the time.
True.
I have had countless number of clients when we get down to it and we really go into the subconscious and we try to look at associations and the files and folders, right? At that time, countless number of people, when I ask, why are you, using your inner critic? Because we all have that inner critic, right? We are constantly telling ourselves, you didn't do this well, you didn't sit well, you didn't, talk well, that word went wrong. I'm like, okay, I hear so many inner critic statements. Let's write them down. There's a big list, very, very, very toxic list. And I'm like, okay, why are you talking to yourself like this? So obviously the first answer is, no, I don't want to talk to myself like this. And then when I'm like, but you are. So don't stop talking like this.
Right.
Don't talk. And then the deeper need will come out, right? And the deeper need is like, no, but if I stop talking like this to myself, I'm scared, I'll not do anything. I'll become a couch potato. I'll become useless,
Right.
worthless.
And then they also associate that with the childhood experience. That from the beginning I have been this lazy person, and now I have pushed myself to be where I am, and if I don't, I'll lose the edge. But you were not lazy. Who told you you were lazy? Just because you sleep longer than the other person does, that's your physical body needing it. And all of us have different needs. You're not everyone runs 100 miles per hour.
And not in the same way.
And
a lot
not
of
with
times,
the
I
same
don't know.
strength.
I don't know actually any child who's lazy. Very honestly speaking, I feel like different children. Oh wow, thank you. Different children just require different stimulus. There is no lazy child that I have met. In fact, children are bubbling and bursting with energy all the time, everywhere, just like dogs.
Right.
I have not met a lazy dog. Actually, it is our restrictions. Sit right, don't do this, don't move your legs. I remember, and this is the funniest story, right? When we were younger, I used to love moving my legs back and forth like this. And I think a lot of us did. I'm sure we all used to enjoy having that back and forth movement of legs. And I was like, you shouldn't move your legs. You know, you have to keep them straight. Learn to be in one position. Keep your legs like this. We are taught physical stillness,
Right.
right? Not by getting into an emotional state of stillness from within, but physically restraining that energy. And over a period of time, I had lots of knee issues. Eventually, physio asked me to do exactly that
If
same
you would have
moment.
jumped off the couch,
Exactly.
I mean, so lesson learned, I'm not doing that to my kids ever. I'm gonna let them spoil my couch and ruin the
Yeah.
furniture.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And that's all right. And you know, and I think it's also through saying yes to these things,
Yeah.
you're allowing your inner child to come into existence again,
Exactly.
right? And again, there is no fix. There's no one approach to fix everything. Your therapy, my therapy, different modalities that are out there, they are all different tools that collectively can can help you support on your healing journey. That is, if you recognize that there is healing that is required. And I think at a basic level, that awareness is required more than before you jump into therapies. Listening to, tuning in with your own self and becoming aware that you are more than what you were told you were. You are more than what you tell yourself you are, and that you are limitless, and you truly are. And you just have to believe in that. And that's when you start your that's I think that's the beginning of a new version of yourself. That's when the you start to emerge through the cracks. And for the cracks to open and for you to emerge, first you have to allow yourself to fall through and go deeper so that you can come up even a better, refined version, whatever that may mean to you. Right? And I really feel that unless mankind finds its way to connect back to its basic self, where survival is no longer the ultimate goal, that's up till that point, I think we're always going to need some sort of healing, some sort of support, and not necessarily any um, titled awareness.
At a basic level, I think the first step is to be able to give ourselves priority and to realize that we need to do anything, like even to start that therapeutic journey, only when we pause and we realize that our purpose in life is not only our identity and the roles that we have, or the job that we have, or the money that we have. And we start prioritizing what we need, what we feel, what we experience. I think only then we'll be able to grow as a person.
True. And to also know that to have different priorities, a different career, a different mindset, a different boundary than the other person is okay. It's okay. Your boundaries and my boundaries don't need to be the same. And it's okay to have all these different things because we're multidimensional, right? And I think as we are, without all of these complexities, we are beautiful beings, right? And not by accident. We're not beautiful by accident. We were created beautiful. We just every now and then need a reminder. And so anybody who's kind of going through this process, of figuring out things. You know, we all need to now and then take a pause and ask ourselves, what is on the other side of the door? What would it feel like if I knocked these walls down? What it would feel like if I was to meet myself exactly the way I am?